Hello and welcome to marketing. Today we're going to learn about marketing segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So we have a lot to cover in this video today. In particular, we're going to look at segmentation, target marketing, positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. But before we proceed, let's look at marketing from a high level to see how all of these activities fit into the big picture of marketing. So today we'll be talking about segmentation and targeting and positioning and differentiation. These are just a few of the many things that marketers need to do. A market segment is a distinct group of customers who will require a unique set of marketing strategy and tactics. Market segmentation is an integral part of a company's overall marketing strategy. It's a process of breaking down a larger market, if you will, into similar, more homogeneous groups of customers that you can more efficiently market to. Each of these groups, to be fully satisfied, needs its own marketing mix. So as you can see from this diagram, we start with the whole population of people, of customers. Back in the day, of course, there was a Model T car, and it was produced in a massive way. We call it, mass production, because really at that time, that was the only product available. And customers, whether they liked different colors or not, didn't really matter. All they got was this mass-produced automobile. But today we have a lot of different products available that are uniquely matched to the different segments, as shown here. So it's effective for marketers to break down audiences into specific segments so that they can focus their efforts more readily. So how does one go about segmenting a market? There are many ways, and here are just a few examples. You can segment the market by customer needs. So for example, a customer who recently had a baby, for example, may have a need to buy diapers or other baby products. You can segment your market by past behaviors. Amazon does this. You may have purchased, for example, a number of running books about running, and that's your or you may have participated in a run, and marketers will find that information and send you more products based on your past behaviors. Demographics is another way to segment the market. Demographics are statistical characteristics of a population like age, income, ethnicity, religion, language can be seen as a demographic variable, for example. And the census is a great way or place to find demographic data. Demographics are often used to segment the market. You could segment over 50, for example, or under 18, just to make sure that your message will resonate with the various audiences. Another way to segment the market is by geographic variables, where you're located. Zip codes, for example, can be used to market effectively and to break your market down. Psychographics is a term you need to be familiar with, and psychographics is all about customer values, personality, attitudes, interests, lifestyles, opinions, how you view the world. So really it's about attitude, interest. So psychographic profiles are often done to help to segment a market. So again, what is market segmentation? Using the breakfast cereal market, which is a business to consumer example, we can take a look at the first segmentation example. In this example, okay, the market is broken down by demographics, kids, teens, and adults, and then by the benefits sought to construct different market segments. The second example is a great example of a geographic variable like weather or climate, and the second is a psychographic or lifestyle variable relating to whether the breakfast cereal is typically consumed in a family setting, people eating together, or whether the household members usually eat alone. Remember, the point of these examples is to demonstrate that the same market can be segmented and viewed in many different ways. By doing so, the marketer gains a greater understanding of the overall market and is more likely to identify unmet needs. So here's a great example. You've heard of the term baby boom generation or Generation X or millennials. Demographics, past behaviors, and psychographics have been used here along with other variables. But here, let's take a look. Born about 1980 to 2000. That's a demographic variable, right? Take a look at these. Which ones are lifestyle, attitudinal, psychographic variables, and which ones might be demographic variables? And which do you think are behavioral? Demographic, right? Kind of attitudinal or behavioral, the first to try technology. 46% reported having 200 Facebook friends, behavioral, right? 40% want to participate in the co-creation of products and brands. That's attitudinal. And almost 50% would be more willing to make a purchase from a company if their purchases support a cause. Certainly moving to marketing, for marketing 1.0 to 3.0, right? So very interesting. When we look at a broad market, we break it down so that marketers, businesses can be focused and really understand the needs of customer groups to meet or exceed customer expectations. So it's about efficiency and effectiveness in marketing, and most definitely about focus. In the CAPSUM simulation that you're going to be doing in terms of running a business, your product is sensors. And sensors are devices that observe physical conditions. For example, the average cell phone contains dozens of sensors that allow it to interpret touch, spatial orientation, and signal strength. New sensor businesses are created every single day in areas as diverse as security, aeronautics, and biomedical engineering. When you play your CAPSUM simulation, you're in a business-to-business market or B2B market, not in a direct-to-consumer market, and we'll talk about that more later. But the sensors your company manufactures are incorporated into products that your customers sell. Your customers fall into two groups, which are called market segments, right? So a market segment, as mentioned before, is a group of customers who have similar needs, all right? Okay, so um, the segments in CAPSUM are named for the customer's primary requirements, and they're called low tech and high tech. Overall, the customers in your segment or segments have specific requirements that are unique to their segment. And your task in this simulation is to give customers great products. And in business, if you're out in the real world, your task in marketing and as a business is to give customers great products and customer experiences while still making a profit. And of course, as we've emphasized, while also running an ethical business. In CAPSUM, a customer survey satisfaction score is your product's report card with your customers giving out a grade. Your customers start by examining your products against the 4 buying criteria that are unique to each segment. That way, you can locate these in the industry conditions report. In real life, all sorts of methods are used to better understand customers, ranging from marketing research like focus groups or customer surveys, observation. There are many ways to learn customers' buying criteria and the different importance levels that you attribute to each buying criteria. In the simulation, you're going to really want to take a look here at this report. In the end, it's more efficient to segment customers according to similar needs and desires. That way you focus or position your resources according to each unique segment. Customers within each market segment employ different standards as they evaluate products. They consider, in CAPSUM, the 4 customer buying criteria of price, MTBF, or mean time before failure, and positioning. Depending on the segment, the customer buying criteria could be a major factor in the overall performance, all right, or a minor factor. The industry conditions report tells you how the segments weigh the criteria. In other words, the high-tech segment will want advanced technology or newer products. And the low-tech segment will be okay with more inexpensive products that don't necessarily have to be state-of-the-art. Perceptual maps show positioning or a product or service that are coordinated kind of in a grid according to size and performance. All right. And positioning scores change with changing customer expectations, and finding an ideal spot is very important. Sensors vary in their dimensions, size, and speed. Sensitivity with which they respond to changes in physical conditions or performance. Combining size and performance creates a product attribute called positioning. Positioning is such an important concept that marketers developed a perceptual map tool, okay, to track the position of their products and those of the competitors. In Capsum, the map measures size on the vertical axis and performance on the horizontal axis. Market segments have different position preferences. The low-tech segment is satisfied, as I mentioned before, with more inexpensive products that are larger in size and slower performing. And as I mentioned before, the high-tech segment wants products that are faster performing and smaller in size. Over time, customers want and expect products that are smaller and faster in the simulation. And we'll talk more about perceptual maps in just a moment. In addition to positioning of size and performance, as mentioned before, other customer buying criteria for your segment include pricing. Each segment has an ideal price range for customers, all right? And MTBF, or mean time before failure, is another customer key satisfaction criteria. Age is another, oops, sorry about that. Age is another critical customer buying criteria. Customers within each market employ different standards as they evaluate products, all right? So this is very important. And as you move forward, you'll get more and more familiar with Capsum as it relates to all of these factors. Make sure to take a look at the Industry Conditions Report that includes the customer buying criteria, segment positioning, and the buying criteria specific to your segment. So another concept that is key in marketing is targeting. After you've segmented your market, you will then need to decide which segments you wish to target. So what is a target market? Well, it's where your focus needs to be. It's one or more specific group of potential consumers, all right, toward which you direct your marketing efforts. Target marketing is when a firm evaluates each segment in order to determine the one that it wants to enter, all right? And why are target markets important? Well, virtually all organizations today focus their marketing efforts, focus their marketing on specific target markets. And certainly in previous business eras, it was more common for organizations to have a fairly generic offering and engage in what is referred to as mass marketing, like I mentioned before. But with the increasing level of competition, particularly from firms with well-defined marketing offerings, it's very difficult to be successful with this generic approach to marketing. A target market allows the firm to focus its marketing efforts and develop a unique positioning strategy that really matches the needs of that part of the market. Without a clear target market, an organization will have a limited understanding of the market. It will probably have a vague or weak offering, and it will generally have a weakened competitive position. Therefore, defining and pursuing a clear target market is a critical part of business success. Take a look at this ad and tell me, think about who the target market is.
They make little hearts happy, and big hearts happy too. Because as part of a heart-healthy diet, those delicious oats and Cheerios can help naturally lower cholesterol. Cheerios. How can something so little help you do something so big?
So Cheerios knows um, that there are about 2.7 million grandparents raising about 5 million children today. So definitely they're targeting certainly grandparents here, right? And kids, but mostly grandparents. All right. Next slide. So we've talked briefly about positioning, but let's now review this important concept in more detail. So what is positioning? Positioning is the distinctive place you want your product or service to occupy in the marketplace relative to the competition and in the minds of the target customer. A perceptual map, as I mentioned before, is a tool used to show the place that the product or service occupies when comparing attributes on each axis. In this example, we're looking at attributes in the breakfast cereal category according to taste and value. A company has to decide how it wants its brand perceived relative to other brands in the marketplace. This involves creating a distinct image for the brand relative to other brands. All right. So this involves creating a distinct image for the brand relative to other brands, as I've mentioned, and consumer feedback will tell you if they perceive it as good tasting or not. This kind of data helps you to gain insights about how to position your product or service effectively. Perceptual maps can be used to plot any two product characteristics. For example, cereal manufacturers could plot nutrition and taste. The dots represent sales of breakfast cereals based on ratings of taste and nutrition. There are a few sales in the lower left-hand corner. Not many consumers want products that have poor taste and poor nutrition, of course. But as they review product sales, marketers would notice three distinct clusters here in their perceptual map. The cluster to the upper left indicates a group of customers that is more interested in nutrition than taste. The cluster to the lower right indicates a group that is more interested in taste than nutrition. And the cluster to the upper right indicates a group that wants both good taste and good nutrition. The clusters or market segments could then be named taste, nutrition, and taste and nutrition. The simulation uses a similar positioning method to name its market segments. The low-tech segment in your CAPSUM simulation is satisfied, all right, and wants more inexpensive products that are larger in size and slower performing than the high-tech segment, which really wants products that are faster performing and smaller in size. High-tech segments are willing to pay more to get more performance and smaller products. As you move toward gaining experience in the CAPSUM simulation, you'll see how to move your products and keep up with the changing customer demands. As mentioned, a perceptual map is the visual technique designed to show how the average target market consumer understands the positioning of the competing products in the marketplace. In other words, it's a tool that attempts to map the consumer's perceptions and understandings in this diagram. The most common presentation format is a perceptual map. Here's what you'll see in the CAPSUM simulation. But before we go on, let's summarize. Here's how companies go about segmentation. They begin by conducting market segmentation that divides the market into relatively homogeneous segments of customers. Each of these groups, to be fully satisfied, needs its own marketing mix. Next, in step 2, target marketing, a firm evaluates each segment in order to determine which ones to enter, or which ones to the strategy in which to market to. And last, in step 3, market positioning, a firm has to decide how it wants its brand perceived relative to other brands or products in the marketplace. This involves creating a distinct image for the brand relative to other brands. Okay? Now let's move on to a concept called differentiation. Differentiation is all about how you stand out. What makes you better than the rest? What is your differentiation strategy? Every brand faces the dual challenge of positively influencing growth by capturing new customers and doing it in a way that promotes loyalty to the brand. Every brand seeks to differentiate, and strategic differentiation is key. The struggle for differentiation may take many different forms, and the brand's differentiation strategy should change and evolve as the market matures and competition intensifies. As this chart shows, you can differentiate by user experience, by customer service, product, price, quality, technology. There are many ways to differentiate in the marketplace. Here's a great diagram from McKinsey and Company and helps us to better understand differentiation. The vertical axis represents relevance, the horizontal differentiation. If your company, product, or service is in the fool's gold or lower right quadrant, that's not so good. In other words, you are different and you stand out, but no one cares. A great example of this is a college that differentiates itself by being located in the highest altitude. Does anybody care? No. So conversely, you want to be in the upper right where you are seen as highly relevant and that you stand out compared to the competition. The upper left quadrant shows expected. That's where you might have a service, for example, that is highly important to consumers, highly relevant, but you really don't stand out. Bottom left quadrant, you don't want to be here. You're not seen as important and you don't stand out. This is a highly useful tool used by companies to examine differentiation in the marketplace. So in CAPSUM, you're going to choose one strategy out of 6 offered to you. All right. And the 6 strategies can be the starting point for your own customer strategy. The strategies incorporate tactics for differentiating your sensor product. Lastly, you want to have a clear understanding of what your value proposition is for customers. A value proposition is the reason, all right, is the reason or reasons that your customers believe your product, service, or company is valuable. It's your brand promise, okay? If you can't identify what makes you worth the price, chances are your prospective customers can't either. And it is not about being better or different, really. It's about being compelling in the eyes of your customers. So let's summarize. What did we cover in this session? Segmentation, target marketing, positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. So I wish you great success. We'll talk more about these concepts in class.